I watch Iggy stuff. So I was sitting and I was watching. He puts up this video of Javon Kinlaw, and he's dancing, and and Iggy has a soundtrack, and it was a good soundtrack that you picked. It went with his bopping,
right, the right pace, right?
It had the right pace.
Yeah.
And so the first thing, because I haven't been to practices in years, so I forgot. I was wondering, is he hearing music? Is it in his helmet? So I asked Iggy. He said, no, they play music. And that's right. They play music at practice, but I can't use that music because it has a copyright.
Right.
So I use my own. So I watched, it was about a 5 or 6 minute video of Javon Kinlaw dancing. And I want to say, I thought it was absolutely charming, Iggy.
Yeah.
So do you want me to continue with what I like about it, or do you want to talk a little about it?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. What I liked about it was, here is this really big guy. He weighs a lot of. He's
6'5", 340 pounds. He's a giant.
He's 340 pounds.
He's huge. Yeah, 330, maybe 330.
Okay, and here he is dancing like a kid.
Yeah,
he was obviously in such joy, and not only that, he got other players to dance.
Yes,
and at certain points, he was dancing with other guys, and it was like, I'm not going to call it feminine, because. Well, I just used the word, but it was sort of like girls dance with each other when I was growing up. And here the guys, these uber masculine guys, and they were doing it and they weren't embarrassed. And it was
their arms around each other. It was really cool.
It was lovely. And it was, I wish I could have been in there dancing with them.
Yeah.
And
it looked like a lot of fun.
I just thought Javon Kinlaw is having a lot of fun, and he loves what he does. He loves being on that field, and the dancing expressed it. And the other guys on the defense who were dancing with him felt the same way. And I thought, God love Iggy for putting this on a video.
You know, it's what I've heard about Javon Kinlaw is that he can be a little up and down. Sometimes he has bad days, and it's not his fault. He was homeless at one point, I believe. So he has a lot of stuff that he's worked through as a kid that he's probably still traumatized from. Sure. And sometimes he's has bad days. So what we saw was a good day of Javon Kinlaw. I was happy to be there. He's in a great mood. So it's good to see. I hope he has more good days.
I'd say it was a great day.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's like right at the beginning of practice. So they're all hyped up and they haven't hit each other yet. And he was so excited to get going because he's the biggest guy in the field.
And, his teammates seemed to like him. Because they didn't say, I don't want to dance with you.
No.
They danced with him.
Absolutely. He's even though he's only 23, he's kind of got a leadership mentality on. I like him a lot. I hope he works out because he's a scream. His interviews are a lot of fun too. I hope he works out.
Now, I want to also point out that these current Niners have a tradition of dancing.
Yes.
Because the former dancer was Kendrick Bourne.
That's right.
He was wonderful.
He was.
But Iggy, they're different. Would you like to compare and contrast?
Right. Like Kendrick Bourne was more of a technical dancer. He could probably pull off more moves. And he was also dancing by himself. He was more of like a Michael Jackson style dancer. You wouldn't say that Javon Kinlaw was technically good, but he could feel the beat and he could get others involved. So he kind of made it a part. It wasn't all about him. It was about an experience. I like that.
It was about us.
It was about us.
It was about
Kendrick Bourne's about look at me, look at this new move that I can look at me moonwalk down this, you know what I mean?
Well, and it would make sense because wide receivers are on their own.
That's right.
Whereas Javon Kinlaw is part of a team, is part of a unit. Right. So he was bringing the unit. Anyway, if you people haven't watched the Javon Kinlaw dancing video, I got to tell you, it's one of the most charming things. And Iggy, I'm going to boost you here because we've been disagreeing very, very modestly, but we've been disagreeing. Iggy is the only one I know who would see that and say, this is a video.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to show Javon Kinlaw dancing. A lot of other, and I understand it, baseball writers, football writers only want to know about the game.
Right, of course.
What are the stats? What's the game? And this shows, one, his personality.
Yes.
Two, it shows team spirit.
Yes.
So it had content, but in a interesting and different way than you would expect, and you saw it. So Iggy, I give you an A+ for doing that.
Well, thanks, Dad. Did you read my good and not so good today? I don't think you did.
I watched it.
Did the stuff I said about how the defensive lineman got revenge on Laken Tomlinson?
Oh, I did.
So what this video was like 10 minutes before then. And then in retrospect, it's like the defensive lineman say, here we go. I can't wait. I don't know what that was. They all were starting fights with Laken Tomlinson, and I can't help but link it to 2 days ago when he poked Kentavious Street in the eye. It was an accident, but it's very serious. I've never seen that before. He could have ruined Kentavious Street's career. And all I know is Kevin Givens, every time he went up against him, started a fight. Didn't punch him, but it's like, no, it was like hockey a little bit. We need to settle this. And then he did it again. And then Mike McGlinchey came over and was like, cut it out. And Kinlaw basically told him, get the hell out of here. And they all went over to Kevin Givens and gave him a high five. And then when 11-on-11s started, Kinlaw and Tomlinson went at it. So it was kind of interesting. Like those guys, like we're the same team, but we're not taking this.
I have a question.
Yeah.
After the fights, what was Tomlinson's body language each time?
His body language was fine. I mean, he's a tough guy. Bring it.
Here's my other question.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it when I was watching that.
Yeah.
You reporting that. What's it like after that practice in the locker room?
That's a good question. A good question.
Does it carry over? I don't mean do they fight, but are they cold toward each other? If they end up in the shower together, do they ignore each other? Do they tell screw you? Or it's a thing, we settled it on the field. You understand it, Laken. We understand it. Let's move on. I don't know, but I'd love to know.
I have no idea. I have no idea. I'd like to know too. Maybe one day they'll tell us.
Yeah.
Maybe one day they'll tell us. But it was an interesting observation. Like, wow, they have a score to settle with that guy. And he's got the target on his back today. He was up to it. Maybe he felt he deserved it.
And Iggy, one thing you said, I like football justice.
Yes.
It's different from baseball justice. Let's stay with this a minute.
Yeah.
In football, you knock the guy down, or you do whatever you need to do. You start a fight against another team, against your own teammate.
You play football. In football, you play football. So, okay, I'm going to hit you on the next play. Oh, well, we're supposed to hit each other. In baseball, you kind of have to do some. I mean, that's not throwing at someone isn't really baseball.
That's very good, right?
Yeah.
We're taking someone out at second base.
That's not really baseball. You kind of have to bend the rules in baseball.
Yeah.
And it's got its own charm because it's so ancient and it's a tradition. But I like football justice better. It's like we don't have to do anything dirty. We'll just play the sport out. It'll settle itself.
Yeah.
I like that. A couple more questions and then we're done. Christopher says, why do people blame Jimmy for the week 1 loss if Kyle kicks the field goal on 4th and goal and then a field goal would have won the game? Christopher, you bring up a good point. We are going over week 1 from last year. Let's focus on the future, though. Mike says, is the reason Bosa not engaging more in practice and drills possibly connected to his no-vax status? Ooh, good point. Hadn't thought of that.
I have no idea. But there are others who have no vax.
Good point. Double B Studio says, I'm late, so don't know if you talked about injuries. Is Kyle feeling the pressure about where the injured players stand? He seemed frustrated. Well, Jalen Hurd is hurt. Jaquaski Tart is hurt. Everyone else, I mean, it's actually, they've done a very good job. I think there's been no season-ending injuries in training camp. Let's give them credit.
Yeah.
We made a big stink about that, and they've done a lot of stuff to fix it. Kinlaw has potential, but didn't he get in a fight? Yeah, he did. I guess that was before we told the story. He did, and I loved it. Josh says, don't always agree, but it's must-watch TV. I love how Lowell kind of reels Grant in a little bit. Yes, you certainly do. I'm crazy. Double B Studio says, Niners talk around. All sports media are saying Kyle and John are trying to sell Jimmy to other teams. But if the media sees the plan, don't other teams also? Probably. I don't think anyone's that eager to trade yet. I think the Niners are sort of hoping that some quarterback gets hurt and the team gets desperate. But
one other thing.
Yep.
You got to remember, we'll talk about general managers. These guys know each other. There are only 32 of them.
That's true.
I believe they're on the phone with each other a lot. I want to say, once I was at a spring training baseball game, Sabian was talking to somebody from the Cardinals. They were playing the Cardinals. No, it wasn't the Cardinals. It was someone else. And they were just walking down the stairs and chatting. They're friends. Mm-hmm. They talk about this stuff all the time. There's probably behind the scenes so much chatter between them right now.
I'm sorry to bring this up. I think you told me this in confidence a long time ago, but didn't you tell me that Sabian and Bean didn't really talk though? That was kind of an interesting.
They had, I'm not going to call it a strained relationship.
Yeah.
They had no relationship.
That's interesting. They wouldn't trade with each other. They just wouldn't talk.
They, this is off the point. Sabian, who no longer is running the show there, he did win 3 World Series.
He did.
Sabian was great.
Yeah.
And Sabian was a tough guy, really a tough guy. And I think he thought Billy Ball, I don't mean Billy Ball, Moneyball, that here's this guy across the bay who had a book written about him and a movie about him. And what the hell did he ever achieve? From Sabian's point of view,
nothing.
I'm better.
Yeah.
I'm better than Billy Beane. So what's all the to do about him? And I think he felt that very strongly. And I would also say, and this I really feel, I can't prove it, but that I know these guys. I think Billy was intimidated by Sabian.
There is the way I would describe the way Sabian looked is like a wise guy.
Yes.
Like a wise guy.
Yeah.
A good fella.
Yeah.
One of us. Not one of them. One of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then you got Billy Beane, who looks like he's very tall, he's very handsome, like a movie star.
Yeah.
Alejandro says, "Is Juwan Jennings outperforming Hurd? I've been waiting a couple years to see Hurd go bang it out. That preseason Hurd looked better than Samuel. Yes, Jennings. Everyone's playing better than Hurd. Hurd has 1 catch. Hurd might not make the team. Former 3rd round pick. That's all we got. That's our show.
I really enjoyed this today, Iggy.
Me too. I always enjoy it, but this one was a lot of fun. I liked art. This was the biggest argument we've ever had. You had great points, and I feel like I needed to at least explain myself. So I even though I didn't change your mind, I feel like at least I explained myself. So,
hey, look, we got both sides of several arguments out there. We didn't call each other names, and I didn't rise in my chair and get excited or levitate. This is the way people in our classes. This is how you want to handle it in a class, right?
It is. And I find that more interesting than just yelling talking points at each other and going like this when the other person's talking. Double B Studio, our last comment of the day, says, if Michael Thomas becomes available, does he come to the West? The Niners aren't making any more big moves like that. If they were to get rid of a certain quarterback, they could maybe think about it, but not yet. No, they still have to figure out which quarterback is the best, and they still haven't played Trey Lance with the starters, so they can't know. Maybe they'll do it soon. They're going to be down in LA next week playing practice against the Chargers, and that could be a very, very key 2-day stretch. Even more important than the game.
Are you going to be down there?
Yes, I am. I'm going to be down there for the practice, bringing my wife, staying in a nice hotel in Newport. It's going to be fun.
I love it.
Yeah.
You are really doing great coverage. Well, Iggy, I enjoyed this. I love you.
I love you too. Hold on real quick before we say our goodbyes. Juan says, what's your favorite Mexican place in Watsonville? That's a great question. I went to a tiny little one. I forget what it's called. Juan, I'll get back to you on that. It's really small. I'll get back to you on that. I promise. Watsonville has the best Mexican food. I just want to say that. Jeremy says, do you guys have to get off right this second? Come on. He wants the show to go on. Yeah, we got to keep wanting more.
We got to go because here's the thing. I want to have dinner. I haven't eaten yet. And I'm old. I usually eat at 5:30. My mother and Aunt Sarah used to eat at 5:30. And my wife and I would say, 5:30.
Early bird special?
Ready for Jeopardy. Remember, they want to be ready for we got to watch Jeopardy. And then they'd fall asleep before Final Jeopardy at the TV. They'd be snoring and everything. So now I'm a 5:30 eater. I'm hungry. I got to eat some dinner. And at 8 o'clock, I promised my wife I'd watch a mystery with her. So I got the pressure. I got pressure.
You got the pressure. Brett says I was late to the show, but now I have to Google Sabian and see what he looks like. Oh, yeah. Goomba. We have to stop the show. Sacramento says, Grant, your stats are almost 2K a day. By the next year, you're going to be bigger than the 49ers YouTube page. Love the realness. Opinion on your draft right now. The draft, it looks great because I like Trey Lance. That's all you need to know. He's going to make it legit. Encore. You guys are too nice. The show is over. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next Tuesday. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Iggy, I'll call you. I'll call you in a few. I'll call you right now.
Okay, I'll talk to you right now.
Hey, goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.